Virginie Barberet. I'm a French veterinarian, as I am a diplomate of the European College of Diagnostic Imaging, so in veterinary medicine. I am working at the moment at Ghent University when I'm preparing a PhD, and I will present you the ultrasonographic examination of the abdomen of small animals.
Okay.
Essa dúvida, esse impasse frio no verão.
So in this presentation we'll see the ultrasonography of the pancreas of small animals. So first, the indications of an ultrasonography of the pancreas. So it can be because the dog is presenting severe abdominal pain or acute vomiting and diarrhea. So mostly if we look for a pancreatitis. However, in cats we have to be careful that those cats with pancreatitis often they don't show vomiting, but they show anorexia often, so more subtle clinical signs. We can also perform an ultrasound of the pancreas in case of hypoglycemia, so if we are looking for an insulinoma, but we'll see that it's quite difficult to find with ultrasound in some cases. We can also perform it in case of jaundice, so if we suspect an extrahepatic biliary obstruction secondary to a pancreatic disease. And then we can also perform it if we see a focal periconitis or a mass effect in the region of the pancreas on abdominal radiographs. So the normal pancreas is often difficult to see, in fact. So in cats we will mostly look for the left lobe, which is larger than in dogs. This left lobe will be situated between the stomach and the transverse colon, or like in this example, we have the left lobe of the pancreas situated between the stomach. Here the spleen and the left kidney would be somewhere in this area. So that's good landmarks to find the left lobe of those cats. It's the same landmarks to use to find the left lobe of dogs, but it's more difficult to see in dogs in this region. In dogs, we will look for mostly the right lobe, which is larger than in cats, and this right lobe will have first to find the duodenum. So here we have the duodenum, and the right lobe, which is here, would be situated underneath the duodenum, so dorsomedial to the duodenum, descending duodenum. And some landmarks that we can use is this hypoechoic duct that we see here, which in fact can represent either the pancreatic duct, but most often it will be the pancreatico-duodenal vein. So first pathology that we can see in those pancreatic disorder would be the acute pancreatitis. So this will present some typical signs on ultrasound. We will see an enlarged pancreas like we can have here. Here it's 1.1 centimeter. The maximum size normally of a pancreas is 1 centimeter. And it will be very hypoechoic with the ill-defined borders like we can have here in this example. So very hypoechoic, decrease in echogenicity here as well. In cats we can see sometimes that the pancreatic duct will be widened. But that's not always the case. We have to keep in mind that in cats the signs will be much more subtle on ultrasound, and sometimes we won't detect the acute pancreatitis on ultrasound of cats. So it can be very difficult to interpret the ultrasonographic examination of the pancreas in cats. Then for those acute pancreatitis we have secondary signs that are helping us to decide that it is an acute pancreatitis. So first we have the hyperechoic fat. So that's here what we see in this region, or here in this region. So this is hyperechoic fat. In fact, it's due to the inflammation, the focal peritonitis and focal steatitis around the pancreas itself. We will have also localized free fluid. Here, like we can see, this anechoic pocket, or a bit here underneath the duodenum, or those pockets there. Those pockets of localized free fluid are due also to the focal peritonitis. We can also observe a localized functional ileus at the level of the duodenum. So like we see here, we have the duodenum, and we can see that the lumen of the duodenum is open, which is normally not the case. The lumen should be completely collapsed when the dog is not in digestion. So here that's a sign of a functional ileus, local functional ileus. Here it's filled with fluid, but sometimes it can be filled with gas as well. And then we can have a secondary dilation of the common bile duct. That's because then the focal inflammation in the pancreatic region will induce an obstruction of the common bile duct, and then we will have a dilation of this common bile duct. Then on ultrasound, what we can see also, it's pancreatic edema. So here it's really typical example of those pancreatic edemas where we have the pancreas lobules that are interspersed with the hypoechoic or anechoic lines like this that just are representing the edema. And this pancreatic edema is in general secondary to other problems such as hypoalbuminemia, portal hypertension, and some cases of pancreatitis. We can see that with when there is some ascites as well sometimes. The other pancreatic disorders that we can look for with ultrasound are multiple, but mostly it will be for neoplasia, so adenocarcinoma or insulinoma. But we have to keep in mind that those neoplasia, especially the insulinoma, they can be quite small, even if they provoke the clinical signs of so hyperinsulinemia and then hypoglycemia, then clinical sign that can be very important for the dog. And with the seizures, it doesn't mean that the mass will be very big on ultrasound. So a small nodule like that could be representing an insulinoma, for example, and then it will be very difficult to detect because it's often very difficult in those dogs, especially if it's large breed dog, to follow the complete pancreas from the right lobe to the body and the left lobe, and then it will be very difficult in some cases to detect those small nodules that could be insulinoma, because also there is a lot of gastrointestinal gas in the region, for example coming from the stomach or from the colon, and they will obscure the visualization of some parts of the pancreas, and an insulinoma can easily be missed with ultrasound. So in fact, if we are looking for an insulinoma, the best imaging modality would be more CT, so computed tomography. It's really the best to detect those insulinoma. But like in this case, the insulinoma was quite large. So here we can see it's 1.6 centimeters, so it's already large, and in this case it was then visible with ultrasound. So it's possible to detect them, but not always. If we see a neoplasia in the pancreas, we have to look for metastasis, because those neoplasia, especially the adenocarcinomas, are very malignant and very aggressive, so they can metastasize quickly to the liver, the lymph node, or even the mesentery by creating some carcinomatosis in the mesentery. At the level of the pancreas, we can also see some cyst-like lesions. So those cysts, they can have different origins. They can be retention cysts, pseudocysts, congenital cysts. In general, they are completely incidental findings and are not a problem for the dog. We can have also nodular hyperplasia, and nodular hyperplasia would be mostly hypoechoic to isoechoic lesions. Or even sometimes anechoic lesion. So like this lesion, for example, it could be a nodular hyperplasia, it could also be a neoplasia. So again, here the ultrasound is not very specific to determine the cause of the lesion. So then we will need further tests like histopathologic tests to determine exactly what it is. And finally, we can have also abscesses in the pancreas. These are quite severe, difficult to treat. So they will have the same aspect as abscesses everywhere in the abdomen, so hypoechoic to anechoic, or mixed lesions depending of the stage of the abscess. In general, in those cases, we will find a surrounding inflammation like we see in cases of pancreatitis, for example. So, in conclusion, if we see some lesions of the pancreas, we cannot reach a definitive diagnosis again without aspirations or biopsies of those lesions.